Greetings, chess people. I'm here once again to go over one of the games from our weekly Swiss event. Now, as you can see, we have our winners listed below. William Athens took first, Mr. Tessier took second, and Caulfield Kills took third. This game is between Caulfield Kills with the white pieces and William Athens with the black pieces. Let's take a look at what we have here. So, quite an exciting game, and maybe not for the reasons you would think. E4, C5, the Sicilian defense, delightful. And we see a response that isn't necessarily the best way to go about things. This really isn't how we would like to challenge the Sicilian defense. We'd like to either go with knight to c3 or knight to f3, maybe the Alapin with c3. But this doesn't leave us with a very good position because, well, we can just bully this bishop, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So out comes the knight, and he knows this, and he makes some space for it. Okay, preparing to clearly launch into the center with d5. Good development, and here we see the bullying begin. He says, get away, right? And he knows if he just comes back here, well, we're going to have some nonsense to keep pushing with the pawns and push that bishop all the way back. So he says, all right, I don't really care. Just get all the way back. So we have this bishop on the long diagonal and this just incredible queenside expansion by black here, as well as this fianchetto structure with a bishop that will have some scope once this position opens up. Okay. Development continues. Black grabs the c-file, and we see this knight kind of jump in here, eyeing this pawn. Well, notice it's defended twice if this knight moves. So, the knight moves, challenging this knight, yes? So, clearly offering a trade. And white just takes the pawn. I don't think he noticed that it was defended quite as many times as it was. And here we have a series of exchanges. So, black, up a piece for a pawn, looking pretty good. Okay. Start to expand on the queen side here from white, and in goes the knight. Very strong square, very hard to challenge this knight. This bishop suddenly looks a little silly, and perhaps we'll see an exchange. Castles, and oh, here comes the other knight. So, we got these two knights working overtime. Spying on white's position here. Just look at all that control by these two knights. In comes the rook, and now we see the point of the knight maneuver to eliminate this bishop. Clearly white doesn't want to lose the queen, so away we go. Away goes the bishop. In comes the black queen. Black's now ready to castle. And here we see a damaged pawn structure rather, for white. The whole point of giving this strong bishop up was to get that endgame advantage. Double the pawns. If pawn takes, this looks good. If queen takes, well, hey, we can trade. We're up material, and these pawns will be difficult to defend in an endgame. Not to mention, we've got a knight, and white doesn't. So, castles. Finally castles, right? Okay. And getting the king out of the way, and delightful d5 push. Very good. White is trying his very best to take control of open files and do whatever he possibly can. He tries to break with a4, very logical, but black here has tremendous pressure on this pawn once this knight moves here. And, well, white's going to say, well, guess what? You have pressure here, I got pressure here. So how do you think about that, right? Well, black doesn't think very much of it at all. He tries to get his king out of there. Avoiding any back rank nonsense or silliness, pushes g6, and white, wanting to complicate things further, says, okay, I would like back rank silliness and nonsense, so I'm going to push h6, eliminating escape squares, but look, we're safe, right? We can get out. Okay, king e7. Alright, back goes the knight. We now have this pawn under attack, and white's king tries to desperately get into the action. And instead of an exchange, white just chooses to give a check. And here we see a dance of rooks. And all of a sudden, we see perhaps a mating net here. All this space being controlled, right? If the king can get up here, control this square, it's going to look real good. Maybe we can get both rooks in here and deliver checkmate. Okay. Another piece falls. And it is truly looking dire for the white pieces. Now we see more control by black. Look at all these squares that are controlled. Imagine if we could cut off these squares. Imagine that, folks. Just imagine it. Okay. Takes the pawn. Very good. And in comes white to hopefully create any kind of tricks or nonsense or silliness to checkmate black, catch them off guard, do whatever he can, right? Up goes the rook. Very, very logical move, okay? Very logical. Because remember, we're trying to checkmate this king, and we're not that far off. Look at all these squares that we control, okay? All of them, basically. And we just need to deliver checkmate, right? So clearly, black is hoping for this. So, what can white do? What can white do? He gives a check. Now, this is very difficult. This move is very difficult to find. It honestly blew my mind in real time, and you can watch it on the stream, but I was so incredibly impressed by the end of this game. So we would generally just get out of the way and then checkmate white's king. So it's very logical to just come here, right? King f6. Look, he can't get out. He's done. He's done, right? Wrong. We have the first of two brilliant moves within very close proximity. Rook takes f7. Now, why is this a brilliant move? Well, let's watch. Remember, the king can't go anywhere. There's your big hint. Notice these pawns can't go anywhere either, right? This is a forcing move. It's the only move. And now, white had an opportunity here to play two brilliant moves in a row. However, he missed his second opportunity. And he plays rook h7 check. Now, in order to save the game, black has to do this. Black has to move the knight back and defend. Get in the way, interpose. Instead, we get king f6, which is where the second brilliant move comes in. Maybe you catch my drift by now. In brilliant sacrificial style, rook f7 check. Again, forcing move, and it's a stalemate. That's brutal. I mean, look at this position and tell me that black is not winning. Let's back up. How do we prevent this? Honestly, it's ridiculous how we prevent this. I'll tell you that much. It's ridiculous how we prevent this. The way to prevent this trick is to play rook to c7, giving up the rook. And you might think, why on earth would I do that? That doesn't make a lick of sense. And I would say you're right. It doesn't make a lick of sense until you look further. So after rook takes with check, now you can go to king. Now you can go king f6. And what happens if we try the same thing? Well, look, now the king has moves because the rook is not cutting off all the squares, and we're going to checkmate this king. So it doesn't work. So we have to sacrifice our piece to prevent our opponent from sacrificing two pieces. It's wacky, wild, ridiculous. I would never find that move in a million years, and I don't think you would either. Even with 6 minutes on the clock, this is the most unnatural thing to play in all of chess. There's no way. No way. No how. Right? But it all has to do with how the king has no moves. And generally, we'd love for the king to have no moves. We'd like to checkmate the king. But in this instance, it becomes our downfall because the king's stalemated. All these terrible pawns are in the perfect place to give white the draw. Wacky and wild. Here, check this out. Just for the pure dopamine response here. Boom! Turquoise. Don't know why it's so slow. Boom! Turquoise! Oh, that just hits in a special way. Especially if you've been playing on chess.com a while, you know just how lovely that color is. So I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. William still won the tournament, 5.5 points out of 6. Very nice performance. Please join us on chess.com every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. We're doing quite a few events these days. I also have quite a few events planned in person if you're in the San Angelo, Texas area. And if you'd like to support our channel, you can absolutely use the Patreon link below to support all of our various chess efforts. So, keep calm and chess on, and be excellent people. Pay it forward, do all that good stuff. Don't hurt birds, recycle, and take care. Goodbye.